Hi, so welcome everyone to effectively using LinkedIn creator mode and LinkedIn newsletters. A lot of interest in this topic. So I try to cover this when I speak about these topics, but it's never enough time. So I wanted to just really focus on this. And I've been using LinkedIn creator mode, which I was actually reluctant to turn it on because I didn't want to change my connect button to follow, which is one of the downsides, but there is a workaround. So I'm going to show you that workaround in a little bit as well. So LinkedIn newsletters have been amazing for me. I think I have 4,000 subscribers to my newsletter, and it happened so fast. And there's no other way to reach people directly on LinkedIn than LinkedIn newsletters. So I really want you to use it. I'm not seeing any law firms use LinkedIn newsletters effectively or at all, to be honest with you. So if you are and you're on this and you're using them, put a link. I'd love to see it. I can tell you I'm doing LinkedIn newsletters for 2 of my clients, and those clients are not law firms, but they're legal service providers. So you can check out one of them. It's Leopard Solutions newsletter on LinkedIn, and I think it's really great, obviously, but there's so much opportunity. So I'm going to actually show you how to make a newsletter. We're going to make mine for the week. So I think that'll be really interesting. So again, if you have questions, put them in the chat and we'll get started. So those of you who don't know me, this is a little bit about my background. I was in-house as a legal marketer for 20 years before I started my own business, and now I'm outsourced CMO to several mid-sized law firms, and I do social media consulting. So I get the benefit of sitting in both worlds. I actually go to an office every week and sit in my clients' offices, and I also consult. So these are a snapshot of the firms at which I've worked. I do think some firms, maybe on the bigger firm side, maybe the top 100, maybe a little reluctant to try some of these tools, and some of the lawyers maybe, but again, that's such opportunity. So again, message me, put in the chat or the Q&A. If some of your lawyers are asking about LinkedIn newsletters, I will tell you the one downside. If you work at a big firm or you have multiple practice areas, you can't have more than one LinkedIn newsletter per company. So you can't have like a IP one, a corporate one, a litigation one per company. But lawyers can have one newsletter themselves as well. So you get one LinkedIn newsletter per company, one LinkedIn newsletter per person. Okay. Again, questions, put them in the chat and I will get to them. Okay, so just starting out, I like to group professional service marketing into 5 buckets. They're here. Today, we're talking about essentially your digital presence, but also all of the things that we do as B2B companies, as professional service organizations fall into these areas, and we should be promoting them using social media. And I love email marketing personally. I think it's the most direct way to reach people. And what I love about LinkedIn newsletters is that it marries the 2 together, making LinkedIn truly a content hub. But I don't want you to forget about email marketing because it's so important, okay? And so I've said this before, but I'll just say it again, that you can write all the greatest articles in the world and speak at all the best conferences, but if you're not actually marketing yourself using social, you're not doing everything possible to be visible in front of referrals and potential employees, clients, alumni, the media. So this is another tool. And there is no better tool than LinkedIn newsletters, in my opinion, personally, because I've seen it like work directly. And I do really like LinkedIn Live. I'm curious if any of you are using LinkedIn Live. Every time I've used it, I've gotten great visibility. And I've seen some firms use it to do briefings. I don't know about the intricacies of trying to offer CLE credit. I wouldn't even bother. I would just do a LinkedIn Live for 15, 20 minutes. You can go live on your company page, or you can go live on your personal page. So I will get into LinkedIn Live a little bit later. And if any specific questions about using LinkedIn Live, again, put that here, but you have to have creator mode turned on. I will show you how to turn it on. All of these are reasons why we build a strong brand on LinkedIn. I will say that your connections are your net worth. There's nothing new here. And you're increasing your visibility and building relationships. So LinkedIn is actually giving preference to profiles that have creator mode turned on. And you may get lower engagement on some of your posts right away, but they are favoring creators. So that is probably where you want to go in the future. But if you have less than 1,000 connections on LinkedIn, I'm going to tell you to not turn on creator mode yet and wait and build your network first. I'd actually like you to be somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 to really have an impact on your LinkedIn network to use creator mode, because the more eyeballs you have seeing your content, the more effective it will be. And it's always going to be quality over quantity for me, but I will also tell you that you need more eyeballs. Okay. So don't turn it on unless you have at least 1,000 connections. And if you're not there yet, focus on building your presence. I will go over that a little bit. And because there are not a lot of creator generating regular content on LinkedIn, this gives us an enormous opportunity, because we know, and I've mentioned this, there's almost 800 million people using LinkedIn now, and it's organic reach. You don't have to pay. LinkedIn newsletters is free. You don't need, premium or any other bells and whistles. Anybody can create this. So the caveat, guys, for company pages with a LinkedIn newsletter is that you have to have 150 followers on your LinkedIn company page in order to send out a LinkedIn company newsletter. Okay. So if you're not at 150 followers, try to get there. And everybody every month gets 100 credits to use to send invitations to people to follow your LinkedIn company page, and they replenish at the end of the month. Did you guys know this? Let me know in the chat. So you can't, by the way, invite the same person again. You can't spam them. And you should use this to your advantage. So 100 people every month. Sometimes, guys, what I do is I will give access to a lawyer for like a day, or they'll give me their username and password, and I will then go invite people to like the page who are connected to them. So that's something, because I'll always tell you that it's very important to utilize the connections of your lawyers and your employees. So if you don't want to give them administrator access, just ask them to give you their username and password, and then strategically invite people. So do you guys know how to invite people to your company page, or is that also something you want me to show you how to do? Because I'm also happy to do that. And you can segment audiences by location. You can segment audiences by company, by title. There are a lot of things to do there. Okay. Okay. And no, you cannot invite people you don't know. So you will only be able to send it to first degree connections. Another reason why you want a lot of connections on your LinkedIn page. Okay. So you get 100 per month. That's a lot. So one of the things that's really important to ask yourself is, how often are the people who send you business, who do business with you, hear from you? And there's a lot of people on the periphery of your network. And these are all these people who fall into this bucket. And the reason we do content marketing is because we want to stay top of mind. And that's why I do it. I stay top of mind with people, and they remember me for different things. And so that's the benefit. Okay. And the content needs to be about your audience. And I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. And I mentioned, so email marketing is still, to me, the most powerful thing. You could essentially take one of your email newsletters, or, Lex blog, where I have my blog, they do, you can send out a synopsis of your blog every week or every other week, depending on how often you publish, and it goes out by email. So it's a digest. You can essentially take your email newsletter or your blog digest, turn it into a LinkedIn newsletter, and call it a day. And you will not spam people, because the idea of people actually remembering that they saw that content in your email or having opened that email is very low. So it's just hitting people in multiple directions. Okay. Okay. So there's one other thing that's not connected to creator mode, but some people think it is. It's the cover story. How many of you have your cover story turned on? And I just want to tell you guys what it is, because I think it's so cool. And I do think some people should turn your cover story on. It's a 30-second or up to 30-second video that you can put that goes behind your profile photo. And essentially you would just explain what you do, for whom, and how you do it. So if you want to see mine, go to my profile. You cannot upload it on your desktop. There are a lot of things you can't do on your desktop, including create a LinkedIn newsletter, and you wouldn't want to. You want to do it on your computer. So your LinkedIn cover story, I think, is a terrific way to introduce yourself. It's not for everybody. I have mine up, and you record it on your phone, you upload it from your mobile device. And I added captions to mine because you guys know I'm a big believer in accessibility, and just most people use LinkedIn without the sound on. So that's essentially why you want to do that. So I would highly recommend that you think about this. It doesn't have to be the full 30 seconds. It could be 15 seconds, but it's another way to differentiate yourself. And LinkedIn does not offer company cover stories. It's just for individuals at this moment. Okay. So when you turn creator mode on, you'll see that you will then have access to LinkedIn Live and newsletters, okay? And you just turn creator mode on very easily in your profile. I'll show you how to do it. It's right below your about section, or right above it, depending on your settings. And it will below your contact info on the top with the header, and it'll say LinkedIn creator mode on or off, okay? It's going to give you some prompts to put in different things, like the hashtags that you essentially are in your wheelhouse, your content pillars. And some of you have heard me talk about content pillars, which I'll talk about in a minute. So let's get into a lot about LinkedIn creator mode. Okay. So with creator mode, you can add hashtags to indicate which topics you post about the most. I'll show you this again in a minute. I have, so LinkedIn will give you suggestions. You should think about these carefully. So I know we have some lawyers here, legal marketers, recruiters, a lot of different folks, okay? If I was a recruiter, I would absolutely have like something like legal recruiting or legal recruitment as one of my hashtags. You'll want to do some industry-based hashtags. You probably don't want to get too specific. By the way, they're not searchable like on the top of your profile. These are essentially your branding yourself, okay? So like mine would be LinkedIn tips, social media marketing, legal marketing, law firm growth, maybe something like that. So those are the kinds of things you want to think about, okay? LinkedIn moves your featured and activity sections to the top of your profile to more prominently display your content. You can't change that around. The biggest caveat I have is that it changes your connect button to follow. So the default becomes that people follow you. It's not a bad thing, but it is something that happens. And I can show you a workaround, and you can still connect with people, okay? So another thing with LinkedIn Live, your profile background shows your LinkedIn Live broadcast when you start streaming. So that whole section up at the top, your cover image, becomes your LinkedIn Live broadcast. LinkedIn Live can be done through your company page or through your personal page. Okay, so you can do two. To use LinkedIn Live, you have to use an outside third-party streaming service. I use StreamYard. It's the easiest one. And if we have time, I'll get into that. But you can't just go LinkedIn Live right on LinkedIn. You have to use the third party, okay? And then to be a creator, you really do need to commit to posting like regularly. So like 3 times, 4 times a week, that sort of thing. It's not going to hurt you not to, but it will only benefit you to post and more, but never 2 times a day. Okay, so turning on creator mode. Like I said, the connect button changes to follow. The number of your connections now shows. So followers and connections are a little bit different depending if you have LinkedIn creator mode turned on or not. People can follow you without connecting to you. They will now be able to see exactly how many connections you have on your profile. So it used to say 500 plus. Now it will say 3,204. okay? So that's something else to think about. You can select to display your content topics. So that's going to be your hashtags. And I told you it moves your featured and activity sections, okay? So it showcases more of your content as opposed to engagement. So it used to show like Stephanie Marone liked X article written by Valerie Fontaine. It won't show that as prominently. It's going to show the things I posted. The best thing you can do, regardless if you have creator mode turned on or not, is to utilize the featured section. The featured section, you guys know, is a place where when you post something, you can pin an item to your profile and it stays there for as long as you want it to. And you essentially build a content carousel at the top. I love the featured section. And you can do something which I think is cool, which is leave up your LinkedIn newsletter as one of your main content featured sections. Okay. So why use creator mode? A number of reasons. So we use creator mode because it can grow your following. LinkedIn is giving preferential treatment in a lot of ways to creators. I can't prove it, but I can tell you the algorithm, I think, supports this. And it's helping people who essentially want to use their tools more, okay? You can't use LinkedIn newsletter without it. And it's a good fit for you if you have a good network, but you want to increase your followers and you have a solid content strategy and you regularly create new content, okay? If you're curious about it, by the way, you can turn it on and then turn it off the next day and go back to what you were. So that's no big deal, okay? Like you can turn it on and off as much as you want. But whether you decide to turn it on or off, I just hope that you'll use it, LinkedIn, that is, when I say it, to create content, okay, that's valuable and relevant. And it is the only way to get access to LinkedIn newsletters and LinkedIn Live. When you publish a newsletter, your subscribers get a notification, which is unbelievable. There's no other way. I can give you all the tricks in the book, but I can't tell you how you can reach every single person in your network with all of your posts because you can't, okay? But LinkedIn newsletters is a different ballgame. And I mentioned LinkedIn Live. We'll maybe talk about that at the end, but I will tell you that when you use LinkedIn Live, so these are statistics of the top bullet coming from LinkedIn itself, that videos that are LinkedIn Live get 24 times more comments, 7 times more reactions versus regular video uploads. So that's just something to think about, okay? And there's a question about creator mode for company page or professional page. There's no such thing as creator mode for company pages. Every company page, if you have 150 followers, has access to the LinkedIn newsletter. When I'm talking about the other stuff, so you have to turn on creator mode for your individual profile, okay? And as a creator, you can go live on LinkedIn as a company page, but the people who are hosting it, they need to have creator mode turned on in order for it to work, okay? There's like some nuances here. Okay, so I mentioned a lot of these things already, so I'm not going to get into this, but I will say the third bullet here is important in terms of creating a content plan. I am going to tell you what to do to create a content plan for LinkedIn creator mode, but it's essentially going to be everything I've already told you guys in the past to do. It's creating your content pillars, which are 3 to 5 areas in your wheelhouse on which you're going to focus. And those hashtags are essentially it. And then create what I use as a Google Sheet so I can share it easily with team members if I need to of your posts. And you're going to have those 5 buckets. It could be 3 to 5. It doesn't have to be 5. It could be 6, and you're going to create content only in those core areas. And those are areas for which you want to be known that support your business and brand. Okay. And LinkedIn wants you to use a number of different kinds of content formats, from videos to images to articles. So we'll get into that in a minute. So let's talk about LinkedIn newsletters for a little bit. So newsletters are so powerful. They expand your audience, create engagement, boost brand awareness, help build your subject matter authority, and I believe they also generate leads. And they're just another way to build, grow, and to engage with your audience on LinkedIn, okay? The other thing is, look what it does. Every time I send an issue, it puts a notification in my followers' feeds. So in the LinkedIn notification feed and also via email. Look at this, okay? This is amazing. So the image on the left, on the bottom, is it creates an email version of my newsletter that's on LinkedIn, that lives on LinkedIn, and sends it out via email. What's really important to do is to not put the full text in the newsletter. I would put like a snippet, just like you would an email newsletter, and then direct people to your blog or your email newsletter so that you can, you want to direct people to your website. The other thing, are you guys using UTM links? I think they're called UTM links. I would use those so you can track what engagement you're getting from your LinkedIn newsletter. So essentially it just puts a tag to your content so you know that the traffic is coming from your website, to your website from your LinkedIn newsletter. So I do this as well. And you'll see here, like, this is great visibility, guys. And it's just, again, helping you brand yourself, your company, etc. Most people aren't using it. Most companies aren't using it, which gives you a huge opportunity to stand out, especially if your email list is outdated, if it's small, or even if you have an email newsletter. It's another great way to just build your visibility, okay? And even if you send out an email newsletter, I will tell you that you should still utilize LinkedIn to send out an email newsletter, LinkedIn newsletter, because you'll reach a different audience and cast a wider net. I do not believe you spam people this way, okay? People also opt into this newsletter. You're not building an audience from scratch. If you have never really focused on email marketing, or let's say you do, but it's not at the top of your list, but you have a very robust very robust LinkedIn network, why wouldn't you create a newsletter right on LinkedIn? Okay. And we're going to do it literally together. I'm going to show you how easy it is. And if things go wrong, they're going to go wrong, but we'll see. And so they're essentially all housed on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn gives you a URL to your LinkedIn newsletter where all of the issues reside. So one of the things I don't see people do enough is to share that on other social platforms, and even send it by email. You can say, hey, I just published this email newsletter on LinkedIn. Here it is. I post mine to Twitter all the time as well. I don't know why we're not cross-pollinating our social networks, okay? LinkedIn newsletters are very SEO friendly. They're going to be crawled by Google. LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, and again, your search engine optimization is key. So you're going to want to think about using keywords when you're writing content regardless, but you definitely want to make sure that, so LinkedIn long form articles are essentially a LinkedIn newsletter, except LinkedIn newsletters, you'll just put multiple articles in there. It's the same thing. They do incredibly well in Google SEO. So if you don't have a blog, you don't have a website, or let's say you have a website, but you don't have a blog, or you don't want a blog, or you don't want the commitment, this is another way essentially to make LinkedIn your blog. Does that make sense to folks? It's like making LinkedIn your own content hub. The only thing I worry about with LinkedIn newsletters is that you don't have the email addresses of the people to whom you're sending it to. So you're bypassing all of the attorney advertising rules and can spam and GDPR, but you also, again, want to cultivate your email marketing list because you own those email addresses. And if LinkedIn went down, what would you do? I always say, think about, what would you do if LinkedIn disappeared one day? Always make sure you make a copy of your LinkedIn content. You're going to get a copy of this via email anyway, but I keep everything in my Google Sheets as well. So it is highly, usable content. And this is stuff I also, so guys, you know how I make my LinkedIn newsletters? I'm essentially taking my LinkedIn posts over the past week or two, and I'm reusing them. And I either pull from my most recent posts, or I go to my content calendar and I pull older posts or older blog articles of mine, JD Super articles of mine, promote my webinars, put a recap to my webinar. You can put a YouTube link that plays natively in your LinkedIn newsletter. Most newsletters, I don't care what email marketing software you have, trying to put in an actual URL to a YouTube video, it never works. It crashes. This doesn't. Okay, we're going to do it together. Okay, the first issue of your LinkedIn newsletter is sent to every single person to whom you're connected and who follows you. Can we just take a pause? Think about that. And then people can follow you and subscribe. I had 4,000 people subscribe to mine the first night I did it. By the way, I've been sending out my new LinkedIn newsletters at the end of the day, and I get much better engagement at the end of the day versus sending it out in the morning. And I don't know why that is. And I'm curious if anybody else does. But I always tell people, don't post your posts in the afternoon. This is the one exception. And again, it could just be a fluke, but I tend to send these out at the end of the day. Subsequent issues are sent to those who subscribe, both as a notification on LinkedIn and both as an email notification. That's what I just showed you. That is gold. So can we just do you guys understand the power of this? There's no other tool, okay? So let's just think about this again. The benefit of doing this is it automatically sends a notification to your subscribers via email and via LinkedIn. There's no other tool on LinkedIn that does that, okay? So that's why you should do it. Have I convinced anybody? Let me know in the chat. And don't assume that everybody sees all of your LinkedIn posts. In fact, there's no way to ensure that. The algorithm essentially prohibits you to do that, okay? So this is, like I said, a great way to repurpose them once a week in a digest to increase visibility. You can also repurpose email newsletter content because I don't believe anybody actually really reads everything you send to them. Trust me on this. If you think I'm wrong, tell me, but I can tell you that people you have to push stuff to people multiple times before they see things. And this is a good way to do it. Okay. So this is how you set up a LinkedIn newsletter. I am going to show you how to do this. And by the way, for the comment, Trina, about your firm doesn't produce content consistently enough, you can use evergreen content, older blog posts, older articles, practice group descriptions, lateral Q&As. I will show you what to put in your LinkedIn newsletter in a few minutes. I promise. You can do one article in a LinkedIn newsletter, and I got great engagement. It was a very long form article on how to build your LinkedIn connections. And at the very end, I put in an upcoming Women Who Wow event. That issue did just as well as the issue where I put 4 to 5 articles. Okay. So you can put one. Okay. This is how you do it. We're actually going to do it, but I have an article on this that I can send to you guys. I know sometimes it's easier to do it. You're going to want to choose a name for your newsletter, okay? So the name for mine is the Social Media Butterfly. That works for me. You'll want to create a logo, okay? So the logo, you'll put that in, same thing like you did for a company image. You have a little logo. You need to make a cover photo for your LinkedIn newsletter. And so they give you a suggested size. I don't agree with it. It gets always cut off. So I'll show you what I did. I do everything through Canva. And by the way, for the question about the cadence of how often to send these, once a week or every other week. Okay, you could do it once a month. LinkedIn will let you send a LinkedIn newsletter once every 24 hours. Don't do that. Essentially, it's giving you the ability to send an article. Okay. When you create a long form article now, it considers it a LinkedIn newsletter. So it goes to everybody who subscribes to you. And when they follow you the first time to that other question, they will be invited to subscribe to the newsletter. If somebody follows you, they're going to get the newsletter as well. Okay. So I would also just encourage people, like as a post, to follow your newsletter. So I would do this, guys, no more than once a week or every other week. If you don't have enough content, do it once a month. Okay. Pick your cadence. You will want to put a cover image in for every article. The cover, so the article image for the articles, it's so easy. I'll show you how to do it. I'm repurposing my Canva posts. And when I make a Canva post for LinkedIn, so when I post things for social for myself and my clients, I do 2 sizes only. If I'm using Instagram, I'll do the Instagram size on Canva. How many of you are using Canva, by the way? Because if you're not, you really should. If you pick the Twitter size, that's all you need to do. You can repurpose it. So I use the Twitter post size on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Twitter. And you can reuse that image size perfectly in your LinkedIn newsletter. Okay? So you're essentially repurposing that image again. Perfect. You should put in a clear headline for your article. I recommend videos as well. I'll show this to you. Use short snippets and then link to the article. Oh my God, somebody wrote that they've been using Canva since I introduced them to it in 2015. Thank you, Stephanie. That makes me really happy. I should work for Canva now. You'd be surprised, by the way, how many big law firms are using Canva that you don't even think of. You don't need to go down that rabbit hole of Adobe products, which I screw up everything I touch in Adobe. So I'm not touching anything in Adobe. Okay. The other advice I have is to always end your post with a call to action. Okay. The issue. So if you look at mine, I'll send you guys my LinkedIn newsletter. You can find it on my profile. Also, I have how to follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, blah, 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 and how to subscribe to my email newsletter. Please make sure you put a link to capture email addresses. Okay. That's my other huge tip from today. If you don't take away anything, put that in there. This is what it looks like when you want to, when you go to create a newsletter. Okay. So you'll see here, look at this, share your perspectives, blah, 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 invite your followers to subscribe, and they'll receive a push notification and email after every new edition. Okay. How often do you want to publish? It'll give you weekly, monthly. You can change this. You'll add a title, a description. So that I forget how many words this needs to be, but it'll cut you off after a certain amount of time of words. But you want something short, snappy, to the point. This is not where you go into Stephanie Marone Legal Marketing is the best legal marketing consulting firm in the world. That's not helpful. This is about what you're going to provide in this newsletter that's value added. Okay. Uploading the image here and so 300 by 300 is just essentially your regular logo. That's not your cover image. That's in another section. And then invite your connections and followers to subscribe. So make sure these 2 buttons are checked off. The one, subscribe me to my newsletter. Well, yeah, you should subscribe yourself too. But these buttons need to be turned on. And yes, you can edit this afterward. Okay. You can change the description. You can change the title. I would not recommend doing that often because you want people to get to know what you are, your brand. Okay. But give it a name that's snappy. Okay. So to the question before about we don't produce enough content. Yes, you do. We all do. What to feature in your LinkedIn newsletter. Okay. Number 1, repurpose recent LinkedIn posts. This is why you have to have a content calendar. If you don't have one, create a simple one. Recent blog posts and articles, as well as evergreen pieces. Okay. So every law firm has evergreen pieces. An evergreen piece for me would be why you need to be on LinkedIn. Valerie and all my recruiter friends, how to stand out in a very challenging, tight job market. Okay. 10 tips for law students on blank. Lawyers. Here's another one. Why you need a will. what to do when you have a chapter 7. I love evergreen pieces, okay? This will give you a lot of mileage. So I would only put the first paragraph or the first few lines of the piece with a hyperlink to the rest of the content, which is, again, housed on your blog or website, and then put a link. If you want to do a tracking link, the UTM link, their UTM, you can do it through HubSpot. If you have HubSpot, you can do it through if you just Google free UTM generators, you'll find information there. You don't need to do that, by the way. I would just prefer you make a newsletter, okay? And then worry about these things later. Including highlights of community service, pro bono work, and diversity initiatives. Yes, yes, yes. Your clients and recruits and others care about the stuff you're doing. So let's say you're doing something for, we're in Asian American Heritage, Pacific Islander Heritage Month, right? Maybe your firm is doing something to celebrate that. Maybe you have something for Pride coming up. Maybe you won a big pro bono case. Maybe your lawyers went out and renovated a home for Habitat Humanity. Put that kind of content in there. Recent press coverage. You can put in, recent press coverage. Just again, I'm going to say, don't make it overly boastful. And then upcoming events and webinars. One of the best ways that I get attendance for my webinars and events is putting links to them in my newsletter. Okay. Also, by the same token, what about recapping past events and webinars with a link to their replay? And you can actually, like I said, embed the link to the YouTube channel, to the video in your newsletter. I also love the idea of Q&As. So you guys know I have my Women Who Wow series. So I'm going to be doing like a Women Who Wow newsletter as well. So you could do Q&A series with like new laterals, recruiters out there. What about people you've placed? And talking about, in a covert way, why they worked with you, but essentially, why, about their new jobs and their job search, etc. New employees, you can announce new employees here. Case studies, this is another great place for that. That's more evergreen content, and it's client-facing kind of things. Links to recent podcasts and videos. It's another thing I would recommend doing. And then if you have jobs that you're trying to hire, why not put those there? Okay. Anyone have any other ideas for things you would put in there? And yes, you can absolutely create your own original content. I would just make sure that you think about repurposing that content on your blog and on LinkedIn. I never like the idea of just posting something once. So many law firms, so many content creators do what I call one and done, and it's a huge waste of time and effort. So I like to create my content and then reuse it, even if it's with a new image or I'm changing it around a little bit, okay? Okay, and so you get a link to like a landing page for your past issues. So you can direct people to see all your past issues. And guys, why not go back to a past issue from a couple months ago and repurpose the content? The one thing you cannot see with a LinkedIn newsletter is engagement on specific articles. LinkedIn is not smart enough to give you that information, unfortunately, yet. I would add the link, like I said, to that landing page to your featured section, and make sure to add the link to your LinkedIn newsletters to your profile. So it's front and center on your LinkedIn, and share it to other social media platforms. Oh, also, I love this idea. Megan Hotchkiss said, maybe include a poll for reader questions. You can't actually solicit responses to polls in a LinkedIn newsletter, but LinkedIn polls do really well as individual posts. So what you could do, Megan, is run the results of the poll that you ran, that you had posted. So, I ran a poll last week on what content people hate on LinkedIn the most. And they said polls. I'm just kidding. But you catch my drift. Like it's, again, if you can make yourself the news, that's great. And you can also, by the way, share other people's content. What a great way to build relationships, right? So Karen Khan, I saw you're on this webinar here. I shared something that you posted in my latest newsletter and a link to you. So you can hyperlink people in your newsletter. So if you're not following Karen Khan, you should. And so give a shout out to people. And Paula Edgar, no, I'm going to tell you, you need a LinkedIn newsletter in addition to your amazing newsletter. If you're not following Paula Edgar on LinkedIn, you absolutely should, especially since now she's agreeing to make a new LinkedIn newsletter, right, Paula? Nothing like putting people on the spot right on your webinar. So don't forget to share news, like I said, on other platforms. Add a sign up for your email list in your LinkedIn newsletter so you can collect emails. Okay, so a couple more content ideas. You know, I mentioned these already. Again, you can build relationships. You can use links. We're gonna make one in a minute. Okay, and then this is something I posted on LinkedIn recently that did really well, but I just wanted to give you some inspiration of like story ideas that you could post. Again, this isn't for everybody. This isn't for every firm, but I'm sure you can take something from this. It's on my LinkedIn featured section, and I also have a blog post on this, but look how many ideas, guys, there are here of things you can do. Okay. What about the top tools you use, or, honor a mentor, women who inspire you, a how-to guide, career advice. I love Q&As and FAQ series. Guys, one of my other tips right now, I did a webinar a couple weeks ago with Chris Fritsch. There's 17 pages that I had transcribed from Otter. If you don't have your webinars transcribed, you're missing out. I've created about 7 blog posts from that webinar alone. That's about 15 or more LinkedIn posts if you take the time and do it, okay? A transcript of a webinar is a treasure trove of content. For every law firm, by the way, I don't think many people want to watch this webinar back, the full webinar, but they may watch a 3-minute segment of it if I put that in my LinkedIn newsletter, or if I summarize it in a post, right? So will you guys take that tip also, whether you're using LinkedIn newsletters or not? Take your old webinars, old CLE programs that are recorded, get a recording via Otter or rev.com, and utilize that for multiple pieces of content. How many of you will do that? How many of you are doing that? I hope that's another good tip from today. And then I always tell people about intentional content. This is something I truly believe in. I'm actually going to be launching my very first online course this summer. So if you're interested in that, send me a message separately. But it's all about creating content with purpose and intentionality. And so that's what we want to do in this newsletter. And if you don't know your content pillars, you need to figure those out. And so those are those hashtags. So Paula, for you, it's going to be obvious. We went over this actually at dinner the other night. Diversity and inclusion. I wanted you to break it down more, right? Maybe it's the volunteer work you're doing. It's mentorship. It's women's initiatives. It's law firms in general. So I want you each to come up with your content pillars. These are the areas of focus that are going to support your business and the brand. And you can do this for your company too. Law firms, guys, how many times do we get requests? We have full service law firms we're working with and we don't know what to post about. Okay, so maybe you want to break it down. Like, listen, we're going to focus on litigation, and then you have sub areas. There's no reason why you can't have sub areas, right? So you've got practice specific content, lawyer specific content, firm life content, diversity and inclusion, and maybe recruiting. Okay, you may have to go broader than that depending on how big your firm is. And then maybe it's like, firm news, and then you have like all of the, goody stuff, right? And then, oh yes, of course, industry related content, of course, white papers, thought leadership, all of those things. Okay, and then just ask yourself when you're creating a post, because I am running out of time and I want to show you how to make a newsletter, all of these things before your, whatever it is for a post for LinkedIn, regular or LinkedIn newsletters, all of these questions. What is it? What's the purpose? And why is it important? Is it only about you and how great your company is? Because if it is, try to recast it. I've mentioned before how you can take a Chambers ranking and turn it around and make it about your client. That's what you want to do. You absolutely can promote the awards you're winning. Just try to take a different lens and approach to make them seem more client focused. This is an idea of the kinds of things you would include in a LinkedIn newsletter or part of your LinkedIn content strategy. And validating, informative, entertaining, relatable, inspiring, and useful. Just think about this. And if your content doesn't fall in these buckets, I want you to just abort mission. And by the same token, these are the things you want your post to do. If you are not sure where to start, and I know, Paula, you're going to say that I tell you this all the time. Guys, this is probably my #1 content tool and tip. If you want all of the content you've ever posted on LinkedIn, this is not for companies, by the way. I wish they offered this, but they don't. You don't have to go and scroll back and copy and paste every post. You go to the get a copy of your data, and you go to download the larger data file. It takes about 48 hours to get it, so don't worry, and they send it to you via email. You go to the zip file, you see that arrow where it says shares? That is an Excel spreadsheet of every single post you've ever done since the dawn of time. You want to create a content calendar? You go through that archive, you put your content in those buckets, and then you've got a place to start. Nobody remembers what they ate for breakfast yesterday, let alone what you posted 3 months ago or 3 years ago. So how many of you are going to go do this and start from here? I was thinking about, I just wrote something about Memorial Day and what an appropriate post is and what's not. And I started from scratch. And then I remembered that I had a post from last year on the same topic. So I went back to my shares folder and I pulled it out. You probably want to do this depending on how often you create content, every single, I don't know, probably every quarter. Karen Kahn, you need to do this right away because you have been publishing evergreen posts for years that are amazing. So, and no, Valerie, you can't just get the newest stuff. It doesn't know. So you have to just do some finagling yourself. Like, no, it stopped at 213, sell 213. So from 213 to whatever, that's the new stuff. Okay. LinkedIn's not as smart as you think it is. Guys, I haven't figured out a workaround for companies. I wish there was one. I just keep scrolling. And if anyone knows of one, let me know. I think that's a great business idea for somebody who wants to create that. You don't want to wind up in that position because you cannot go back and scroll forever. It stops you. Okay. So reusing and repurposing, really important. Call to action. We want a call to action. And then it's as simple as, it's not like contact me for a free consultation. We hate those. We don't like to be sold to. I don't like to be sold to. Just let me know your thoughts. Learn more. Sign up for my webinar. We want to know more about my coaching course over the summer. That's it. That's all you have to do. Okay. And then I'm going to skip over this. There's just a few more things you could put in there, but I just want to mention, I have a webinar coming up with Chris Fritch on June 23rd. I'll put a link to register. And then we have Women Who Wow, a book reading with Katie Lip on June 7th, which is going to be awesome. But I've got 9 more minutes and I just want to show you guys how. I'll put a link to register for these and definitely send it in the after email. Let me stop sharing. And I'm going to share my actual screen. So anything, guys, can go wrong. Okay. So let me go to LinkedIn. Okay. Can you guys see my LinkedIn? Just give me a heads up in the chat. Okay. You guys are seeing my feed here. Okay. So I've already set up my newsletter once, so it's a little different for me, but you see right here at the top, photo, video, event, write article. Okay, I'm going to click on write article. Now I've got a lot of people that I manage content for. If you have the same, you can change the people you manage your content. So you'll see here, you could see I could go to lots of different, I can create LinkedIn newsletters for all of my clients. If you're a super admin, remember you have to be super admin access. So I'm going to go, but this is how I'm doing it. Okay. I'm going to go in here, the social media butterfly. And then I'm going to give this a title. Okay. So I'm actually going to just show, we're going to run out of time today, but I'm going to show you guys in 9 minutes how I do this. So can you guys, I'm going from screen to screen. This is my blog. Can you guys see my blog here too? I just want to make sure you can see what I'm seeing. Thank you, Andrea. Okay, I'll go back. All right, this is a blog post of mine, creating intentional content using content pillars, okay? I'm just gonna grab the whole darn thing, okay? I'm gonna go back to LinkedIn. Oh, thanks. the butterfly. All right. So I'm going to give this a title, Creating Intentional Content. Okay. Now, I have already uploaded. I don't believe this image actually works. So I have a different image. So I can give you guys the specs. But here is my header. And because I trust me, I played around with this a lot. So I made a header. Please, in your header, put your contact info. And again, it just doesn't quite work when the dimensions it gives you. You can remove it. You can set it to a fixed width. You can do a lot of different things in here. But I can help you guys with that if you need help. Now look what this does. I've already entered in this already once. And so learn how to build your business and brands with actionable social media and content tips. Okay. It's a weekly newsletter. Does that mean I have to publish every week? No, it doesn't. And then look, it pulls in. Remember, you guys know how often I talk about the importance of your LinkedIn headline. Look at how it pulls it in. So if you guys aren't updating or maximizing your LinkedIn headline, you really need to. Okay. So just like a LinkedIn article, all I have to do is copy and paste. Okay. Now I'm going to have to go and change a few things because obviously I copied and pasted, but guys, look how easy this is. It even took the bullets. Okay. So look at this. I've got ordered list, bullets. I can add a URL link. I can block quote something. I get all of these. I can make a header. Heading 1 is a headline. Heading 2 is a subhead. And then that's normal body copy. Okay. Does that look pretty good to you guys? It actually took the link from my blog, but I'm going to add a different link. I want to show you something else I'm going to do. I'm going to just pull wait, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to click on this.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Marone
I'm really sorry you have to listen to that. We're going to go to YouTube really quickly because I just want to show you guys how to do this.
So when you're wanting.
Okay. So look what I'm going to do. You see how I hit the share button? Are you guys with me? Some of you guys are with me. Someone say yes. Okay. Do you guys see I pulled the link from my YouTube? I hope this is helpful. Look what I'm doing. Oh, wait, sorry, I did something bad. Okay, wait. You see I get this little plus sign here? I click on that. Look what I get. A menu, image, video, slides, links, snippet. Okay, snippet is like a very cool looking quote. Links I can add. I'll show you in a second. Video, look at this. YouTube, Vimeo, and more. I want to show you guys what happens. I put the link and look at this. Whoa. Did I just blow your mind? Do you guys see what just happened? Okay, the YouTube video actually embedded in my newsletter. Okay, that's cool. All right, so I'm gonna go back up here and I wanna add an image. So look what I can do. I'll just go here to image. I'm gonna upload from my computer. Now, I hope this comes up because I don't even know if I saved this. Oh yeah, it did, okay. So I'm gonna go search for intentional content. Now look what I can do. I can make it the whole column, or I can do this. Okay, I can move it to the right. I can move it. Whoa, that's ugly. I can put it on the left. You guys see all the things I can do with it? And I can also add alt text. This is really helpful for your content visibility and SEO. So let's say I'm going to type in, and I could do a whole course on alt text, creating intentional content on LinkedIn and social media. I mean, I would probably do this a little differently, but I'm just going to do this quickly. Okay. So this image was the image I used for the social post. So I'm going to just double check. I think I like it better on the right. Oops. I don't know why it's telling me that. See, I knew something bad was going to happen here. So I have to refresh my page. Okay. All right. It's still there. I'm going to put this here. Okay. And then let me just go. So there's my one article. Okay. And there's this then there's the video. I wanted to create another one. Look what I'm gonna go do. Let's just go grab another, I'm just gonna grab something from my blog. So let's grab this, how to create an appropriate and impactful social media post for Memorial Day. So paste, okay, actually, you know what? I don't wanna paste it because it's actually putting a link. I have to just do plain text. Okay, so it took it as a headline, then it knows to do normal text. What I'm gonna do here is just pull this text because I don't want to pull the whole thing. The first article, I put the full text, but I'm not going to do that with this one. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I want it to link to my blog post. So I'm going to go copy the URL and then look what I'm going to do. Hyperlink that, bold it, and that's going to link to the post. Okay. And I want to add an image, right? So let me just go up here. I'm going to add an image. Let's see if I saved this correctly. Memorial Day. So I just make everything super, super, super easy. So let's see if it pulled it in. It takes a couple seconds. Okay. So this may or may not be what I want to use. I'll play around with it. So I got one image on the left, one image on the right. And you guys see I have a newsletter, right? The one thing I'll do at the end is put my call to action. So let me pull in a call to action. So I'm just going to pull in something here from my blog. I usually put this at the end of my blog post. Let's just do this. Okay, so a footer. And then if you do this once, guys, you never have to do it again. Paste. Look what it does. Pulls in every single link. Okay, this is an article / newsletter. It's the same thing. This is a newsletter. An article is a newsletter now. You can create one article or a newsletter. Okay, and I can save a draft of this. So guys, this is it. I know I'm out of time. But if I was ready to hit publish, I would hit publish. If I wasn't, I could just save it and go back to it later. Okay. So that's how you do it. And I think that's easier than MailChimp or Vuture or any of the email marketing programs I use personally. Did you guys see how that literally took me less than 10 minutes to do? And then when I'm ready to publish, I hit publish. What it does is create a post. And all you have to do is like do an intro of like what your issue is about. And then you would just create a post, say like in this issue of the Social Media Butterfly newsletter, I talk about intentional content and what to post on Memorial Day. And then I would add 4 or 5 hashtags and that's it. So I hope this inspires you guys. The video tool blows Vuture. Like, I love all these tools, by the way. I use all the email, HubSpot. I use all these tools, but I've not seen anything like this. We should use this in addition to our email marketing, and it has limitations. You cannot segment audiences. So Andrea, no, you cannot segment audiences. So this is one size fits all, one newsletter per company, one newsletter per person, but you can create different issues. So like you can do one a week that is, you know, healthcare, one for business development, another one for M&A, okay? I hope this is helpful. LinkedIn Live is also very cool. If you want to know more about that, I might do a separate like LinkedIn Live on it, but I hope you guys got a lot from today. Please reach out to me with any questions. I will send you a copy of this presentation and the video. And guys, I'm so thankful for you guys to be here. So have a great Memorial Day weekend. And I know it's a weird day with everything going on with the shooting in Texas, but I'm really happy that you guys were still with me today. So thank you all. Take care, everyone.